And with that, I'll turn it over to our Attorney General, Peter Neronha.
Thank you, Governor. Before I begin, I want to make sure that I recognize not only my colleagues in government. I think it's an amazing thing. All 5 constitutional officers support every one of these 6 bills. If that doesn't send a message about where our government leaders stand, I don't know what does. And I also want to commend our senators and our representatives, Representative Caldwell, Senator Golden, all of their colleagues that have stepped forward to support this legislation year after year after year. That support is incredibly necessary and appropriate. And I also want to recognize, most principally, Diana Garland, who lost her daughter to gun violence over a decade ago, a case that is still open, that we still work, and all along the way, Diana Garland fights for families like hers that are awaiting results, justice, and a reduction in gun violence. You know, when I became an assistant United States attorney in 2002, one of my portfolios, in addition to doing public corruption cases, would be the ATF prosecutor. And as the ATF prosecutor, I was responsible for enforcing federal law in the District of Rhode Island. That included the then federal assault weapons ban, which existed at the time. It involved enforcing straw purchasing cases. It involved cases involving the discharge of firearms and possession of firearms by felons and in the use of violent crime. And I will tell you that from that experience, one thing that became pretty apparent to me pretty quickly was that gun violence is a slow grind of violence. It is a violence that, if you talk about it in the context of each individual case, rarely registers. And it became clear to me pretty early on that if we did not try to message to the public by bringing these cases collectively, I used to call it the Blue Angel approach, land 6 cases at a time, land 12 cases at a time, make the public aware of the gun violence threat we're facing, they're never really going to understand why this is such a significant issue. And that's the challenge that we face today. We've got 6 bills that when you read them, are spot on. They're well-drafted bills, but they can quickly put a member of the public, me, to sleep. Because what's not clear from them, what's not obvious, is the issue that they're trying to address beyond their titles. And so that is a challenge for us, whether we're talking about high-capacity magazines, or straw purchases, or assault weapons, or safe schools, or safe storage, or the open carry of loaded firearms down the street, whether that be in Providence, Westerly, or Newport. How do we make those cases real? And as I thought about that question, I went back to the work of the office, because I think of all my colleagues in government, nobody understands this work better than the people who work in my office and me. I was a line prosecutor for nearly 15 years. And when I went back and I asked my folks to tell me about the slow grind of gun violence and what we're seeing on the street and how it relates to the legislation that is before the General Assembly today, I learned this. But these issues are not academic issues. They are the subject of spirited debate, and that is a great thing. That is what our country is about. But it is not an academic exercise. It is not a theoretical exercise. High-capacity magazines exist on the streets of our cities. In 2019 and 2020 alone, we seized, in law enforcement, 16 high-capacity magazines, holding as many as 29 or 30 rounds. At too many scenes, we picked up 20, 22 cases. Why is that important? Why does it matter that someone not have access in one clip to that kind of firepower? Because the shooters on the street of Providence aren't good shooters. They don't go to the range. But what they do is put a lot of bullets out at one time. I wish I could share with you, because in my office, when I had the monitors we have in the office, I could share with you a video of somebody pulling up in an SUV in Pawtucket and discharging 22 .223 rounds from a semi-automatic weapon, rifle, into the back windshield of a car. If I can show you that video, what you'd see is a lot of shots being shot really fast, that went through the back windshield, and some of them went through the front windshield. But think about that for a moment. These rounds went through the back windshield and through the front windshield. Talk to someone who knows something about guns, as I did, with former ATF Special Agent Ed Neronha, you know that's a really dangerous situation. And that's why the high-capacity magazine bill, the assault weapons bill, matter. Because of cases like that. If I had my monitors behind you, I'd have them here. The media, I'm happy to share them with you. I'd show you the 4 semi-automatic rifles that meet the definition in our assault weapons ban that have been recovered in the city of Providence and elsewhere. Those guns are out there. It's not a hypothetical. Those guns threaten our law enforcement. They threaten our children. They threaten us. Straw purchases are not hypotheticals. What's a straw purchase? Straw purchase is when I go into a gun store and I can buy a firearm, I buy them for somebody else. The reason I'm buying it for somebody else isn't because I'm interested in giving them a birthday gift, because they're a good friend. It's because they can't buy one on their own. What prevents you from buying a firearm under federal law and state law? If you're a domestic abuser, if you're a felon, if you've been convicted of a crime of violence. That's why it matters. Because when I walk into a gun store and I buy guns for somebody else, I'm putting guns in the hands of somebody who is likely to do a really bad thing with them. Maybe drive up in an SUV and put 22 rounds through the back window and the front window of a vehicle while 2 people are scrambling to get out of the way and very nearly get hit by one of those bullets. Even shooting 22 times, the guy couldn't hit him, but if you watch the video, you can't believe that he didn't. That's why it matters. And it's not hypothetical straw purchasers. While I've been Attorney General, somebody bought 89 guns for 4 or 5 other people and put those guns on the street. It's not a hypothetical. It's not an academic debate. It's a real problem, and we have a chance to address it. So here's our opportunity. When you've got 5 constitutional officers who all get it, when you've got a host of members of the General Assembly who all get it, when you've got a public that all gets it, now is the time to act. Now is the time to act. We hear it over and over again. If not now, then when? Thank you.